of you is how some information about thesis writing. I know I'm going to be interrupted with the drill, and then I'll have to put pause, and then I'll have to come back to that. But what I'm trying to have you eventually write is a college level essay. Now, some of you aren't planning on going to college, and that's okay. This is still a really good skill to have on how to take an argument and be able to provide the evidence. And then, maybe you get sued one day, or maybe you're having to defend yourself. This is a really good way to set up an argument, defend it, and organize your writing. So what you are eventually going to write in this class is a 6-paragraph essay, but not today. Today I'm just giving you an overview on what is a thesis, what is a concession, how do you organize your arguments, and how can we use some of this gritty detail from the imperialism age and put that in our writing. So I'm going to start first with just kind of showing you the parts of an essay. Raise your hand if you are familiar with writing a thesis in LA. Okay? Now, I've asked you before on whether or not you're comfortable with that. I would say about half of you are comfortable with thesis writing. So when we come back from the fire drill, we're going to practice thesis writing. In your thesis are usually 3 good points that you're going to make. I go with 3. I mean, you could do more, but then your paragraph, your paper is going to be longer if you have more points to prove. All eyes should be this way towards the board. Some of you are looking down, but I want all eyes this way. Thank you. So if I am going to try and stick with 3 for a history class, I'm going to prove 3 points. That's going to be the body of my paper. I'm going to prove 1 point in a paragraph. I'm going to prove another point in a big paragraph. I'm going to prove another point in a big paragraph. And then bam, I've got a huge argument I have proven in my paper. But then there is this idea of a concession. The concession in a history class is the other point of view. And you include it in your paper to show that your argument is stronger. So think about like you're in a fight with someone and they say something, but then your diss is stronger. This is kind of like your diss. Yes, they had that point, but here's your point, and it's so much stronger because you have all this evidence for it. So the concession is the other point of view. You include it in the paper so that you can disprove it with everything else you say. Now, eyes over here. The prompt you're eventually going to be working with is, should the U.S. have annexed? We annexed Hawaii. We took it as a state. Should we have also taken the Philippines? So we're going to be messing with arguments for and against with that prompt. And you'll be doing that with partners just to make it easier. But you are going to have to, if you write a whole outline of yes, we should have taken the Philippines for all the reasons that are in blue, you need to have at least one of the reasons in red and write a paragraph about that. Or, no, we shouldn't have taken the Philippines, and the bulk of your paper, the body of your paper is why we shouldn't have taken it. I still need in your outline a reason why we would have taken it. So I just want to show you why and how we organize our paper logically for history writing. And then we try and take all of that gritty detail and throw it in there with the proof. And this is eventually how you're going to be graded on. I was talking with kids before class that prior to COVID, Mr. Abbott, Mr. Kelpie, and I, we had DBQ essays at every unit.
Good morning, Monarch staff and students.
That's a lot.
Here in just a few
time on
moments,
this,
we'll begin
because
our
we have
monthly
this.
fire drill. As you will recall, each month we are required by the state of Colorado to conduct an evacuation emergency drill. For those of you who will be participating.
Okay, hi, you guys, I love you. You're amazing. Look at the paper in front of you, okay? So I just got to make sure I'm still being recorded. Awesome. So the paper in front of you, you guys should be grateful that I'm really not giving you like really hard homework today. So just chill. Put your phones away though, that's fine. You're going to need your computer out in a second, but not yet. Look at the white piece of paper. And the white piece of paper that I gave you is how different ways you could organize a thesis. Since I talked about a concession, raise your hand. What was a concession? Sophia said it's the argument from the other point of view. The other point of view. And why do you need to stick it in your thesis? Ellis. I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the people talking. To prove your side is better. So how would it look? Let's look first, argument supports. 3 supports for a good 5-paragraph essay, blah, 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 blah. So here's what it sounds like if you stick your concession first. Personally, I like to put it first. You could stick it in right here before the before your conclusion, but I don't think that that's as strong of writing. But I've modeled both ways. So even though they had a very poor performance last season, the Denver Broncos are the best team in the NFL because, one, of their awesome fans. So the support paragraph would be all about how like they paint themselves orange and they're super loud and they're amazing Bronco fans. Number 2, the fact that John Elway was once a Bronco, which we haven't had maybe a quarterback as good as that, and then he went on to be the offensive coach. So you can have a whole paragraph about Elway. And then number 3, they're the home team. They're the home team for Colorado, and so you're going to defend the Broncos no matter what. But what would be the concession is you talk about how they've had a lot of injuries and they've had a poor season. So that concession there, you would have a paragraph about those. And even though they're going to still rise to greatness this season. That's one example. Okay? Putting your argument supports first in your thesis. Because of the expectations of parents of many students for a good grade, the many extracurricular activities and jobs so many students have, and the fact that homework can teach an unhealthy balance, between life and work, high schools should only be allowed to assign minimal amounts of homework, even though homework can be a great tool for practicing skills learned in class. So in this, they threw the concession down at the bottom, but they made 3 good points about why you shouldn't have any homework. Turn the page. Turn the page. I think that when you put the concession down at the bottom, it's a little wordy and it detracts from your argument, so I prefer it up here. But I have had some people put it down here and make it sound super weak so that their argument sounds stronger. In a second, you're going to go on to Schoology, and there's a quiz portal, and you're going to write me a thesis with 3 supporting arguments. I don't want it to be serious. I want it to be something silly, easy to defend. Maybe you're going to argue dogs are better than cats. Maybe you're going to argue cats are better than dogs. Maybe you're going to argue where's the best place to visit, the best subject in school, whether or not you should have to do homework, what does it mean to be an American, whether or not you need to wear a mask. I don't care. You're going to write a thesis. I need to have 3 supporting documents or 3 supporting reasons and a concession. Compose your thesis right now. Right now. It's for grade right now. Look for the green puzzle piece. It's a 10-point formative assignment, so find it in Schoology. I need 3 reasons why, but the concession. Follow my wording. Even though ... throw in the concession. Even though dogs can run really fast, cats are a better pet because they're softer. They don't cost as much to feed because you can let them outside and go kill their own food, and you can dress them in silly hats. Okay, so create your thesis. Ready to go. When you're done, you're going to shut your computer. That way I know you're done. When you're done, shut your computer. Right now. You're doing this right now. Create your thesis right now. Shut your computer when you're done. Mapping thesis statement. It is giving an overview of what the rest of your paper is going to be about. Mapping thesis statement. It's giving me a map. Okay, I already did that one, Goober. Oh, you could flip it. Then you gotta have 3 reasons why. Plus the concession.
The Jets, the Giants, and what are the other 3 teams they played?
Ravens still suck. The Ravens lost to the Raiders.
Raise your hand if you need help.
The Raiders.
I turned on my camera so I can come give you help. Okay, give me a topic right now.
Ravens.
I'm talking about Ohio State's better than Michigan.
Ohio State's better than Michigan. Even though Michigan draws more students for enrollment, Ohio State is a better school because of the fact it's in Ohio, it's near family, and it's cheaper to attend. I was just coming up with.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just say they're better at football.
Or they're better at football. Who else needs help? I can give you help with a topic. Grant, give me something to write about.
Bass trombone is better than tenor trombone.
Okay, even though tenor trombone is lighter to carry in a instrument case, the baritone trombone has a deeper sound. That it has a deeper sound quality. It is involved in more musical scores and looks awesome when I play it. Dogs versus cats. Even though, are you arguing that cats are better or dogs are better? Dogs. Even though dogs can go running with you when you go jogging, cats are a better animal because they kill things. You don't want to put that? They are softer, and you can hold them in your arms and cuddle.
Can you give me a topic? I can't think of
Give you a topic. Why we should wear masks or not wear masks. Is that a boring topic?
No, that's good.
Is that a good one?
Even though.
Because you're starting with your concession. Even though. Okay, then shut your computers when you're done with your thesis, and then I know you're done. And I'm going to pass out part 2. Okay? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your name on that. Give each one a piece of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a really good thesis, I would pay you in candy. Yeah, and then you submit it. No, you're not going to need it. Now you shut your computer when you're done that way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
You can make it. Some people different. Wow.
Okay, put your name on this. Stick your name on this. Put your name on this. Okay. And you're gonna need you're gonna need to look over here on the board. Turn your head. Turn your head. Turn your head. And I'm waiting just for a couple people to finish their thesis. So, and I'll turn the camera so I don't know if you're going to be able to see my arguments. I might have to just read them aloud. So, I was gone on the day that you watched the McKinley lecture. I don't know if you watched the McKinley lecture, so I'm just going to review key points because should the U.S. have annexed the Philippines, your knowledge would have come from the McKinley lecture. That was with the sub on Monday. So if you weren't even here on Monday, I'm going to have to review. And I have reasons that are going to go in the yes column and the no column. Arguments for annexation and against. And you're going to write down some. Not all, but I would like you to write down at least 5. And I'm going to go through them. So I'll wait for a second, though, because Amol, how are you doing on the thesis?
Oh, I'm done.
Okay. And I'll wait for a second. Elif, how are you doing on the thesis? Okay. Aaliyah, how are you doing on your thesis? Wonderful. Shut your computer. All the way. Thank you. Okay. Eyes up here, grabbing your pen or pencil. Let's see, I hope so. You are going to write down some yes. So, again, do you have to write down all of these arguments? No, you don't, but you need at least 5 or 6. So, some really good reasons we should take the Philippines. Well, I looked back through the PowerPoint, and we were trying to civilize them. They kept fighting us. We wanted to bring them because of social Darwinism, civilization, education, democracy, Christianity, the whole woo, white man's burden. Yeah, let's go get the brown people. But then we've got money. Oh my gosh, America wants so much money. The natural resources. They're super close to Asia. You could just write Asia, close to Asia. So again, some good reasons to take the Philippines and keep it. Annex means to keep. Civilizing them with social Darwinism, bringing them democracy, Christianity, natural resources. They're close to Asia. And then the bonus, just like Hawaii, they've got a naval base, a place to park your ship. Shut your computer, Ellis. We're writing this on a piece of paper. Thank you. Independence from Spain. We promised them independence. There was this guy named Emilio Aguinaldo who was the leader of the rebels. And we said, we're going to help you rise up against Spain. So that's a good reason, just to hold our word. Plus, McKinley had a dream, and in a vision, God told him to take the Philippines. And you can't argue with God. That's a huge reason right there. McKinley had God tell him to take it. Bam. I mean, that's huge. Plus, we've got some laws. We had the Platt Amendment, the Foraker Amendment, and the Teller Amendment. The Platt in that lecture said that it was going to be our job to take care of Cuba. The Foraker Amendment said it's going to be our job to take care of Puerto Rico. And the Teller Amendment said it's our job to take care of it, but not own it. But like make sure that we like control it like a colony. We passed laws that said we'd do that. And then I came up with like one more, the idea of education. It's super close to China. And I have one more that I was thinking when I was on the fire drill, but I forgot. Anybody got another one? Those are all some pretty good reasons to take them. Oh, they're weak. They're so easy to take over. They're a bunch of peasants. And those are all good reasons. But now we're going to write down some reasons that we should not take the Philippines. We should not take the Philippines because you could argue self-determination. Who do we think we are being an imperialist empire? That's so greedy and unfair. So shouldn't they have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Like we're playing them like a puppet. And then there's the promise. We said we would give them independence to Emilio Aguinaldo, and then we went back on our word. So that's pretty crappy of the United States. Natural rights, life, liberty, happiness, we actually go crush their rebellion. They're trying to have a revolution now from us, and we kill them. And not only kill them, we crush the rebellion in 99, and then we send them to re-concentration camps. So just like the Spanish put the naughty Cubans in jail, we took the naughty Filipinos, put them in jail, but we called it re-concentration camp, or we're re-educating you to be a good American. another reason that we maybe shouldn't take, and then, so why shouldn't we take the Philippines? Because that was cruel. We made the leader take a loyalty oath. He eventually gets killed because he's too much of an opposition leader. So we took out the opposition. That's not cool. We are Americanizing the Filipinos, so we're not allowing them their own culture because of the social Darwinism. And so that maybe is another reason not to take them over. They don't want to be Americanized. They want independence. And then we have the whole Teller Amendment thing where we're never going to make them a state. They're just going to be this colony we control. So that's not cool either because they're not going to get the right to vote. And then we have a history of genocide. I mean, you can make that as an argument. We didn't let for the natives to live here, and we eradicated them out west, and then tried to have a bunch of massacres to minimize their threat to white man's control of the land. And then lastly is a word called despotism, and just being like Caesar or Napoleon. McKinley acting like he's a despot and just crushing him with his boot. That's not totally cool. But those are some really good reasons not to take over the Philippines. So let's look back at our paper. When we look back at the structure of a paper, and I gave you the structure there as well on the back side, you have to decide based on the prompt, are you going to argue for or against in a history paper? The teacher never cares. Is there a right answer? No. Can you argue for? Sure. Can you argue against? Sure. What if you argue against, but you really believe for? Your teacher is never going to care. They want you, though, to hold the argument all the way through. I had a student 2 years ago, who purposely argued, and he sounded like a total a-hole in every paper. He just sounded like he was racist, misogynistic, imperialistic, but he had fun arguing kind of the opposite of what he believed. So don't write this paper for me. I always tell students, write what's easiest. Write what's easiest for you. Dawson, Pablo, Chill. So you have to decide right now in your gut which one is easiest to defend. Arguing, yes, we should take them over, even if you don't believe it. Or arguing, no, we shouldn't take them over, even if you don't believe it. So circle right now, if you want to annex or not. Circle that.
This is a partner thing?
It is going to be a partner thing. So maybe check with your partner. Which one did you circle? Okay. So you're going to circle now. Which one looks better to argue in a paper? Circle yes, annex, or no. Which one would be an easier paper to write? Please chill. I first said chill, and now it's a please chill. Okay, here come the documents. What makes a history paper gritty are the facts and details. So when you're writing a paper, you're going to dig back into your notes, and you're going to try and max out these paragraphs with dates, with details, with the names of the laws, all the boring stuff that goes into these paragraphs. That's why this paper right here is so long. Lots of gritty details from their notes. Okay, this is about how long your essay is going to be when you finally write one. But there is this last piece that I need to give you called the documents. Please raise your hand if you've ever done a DBQ. Okay. Oh, it's a lot of you. Okay. The documents are the proof. So yes, you've got a lot of details, historical details, but the last piece that you add to a history essay are evidence from old books. Now, when you're in college, you'll, in a history class, have a bunch of books that you have to read. And when you're going to write your paper, I'll do a demo here. As you're writing your paper and you've got the outline, you'll be taking a quote from this book that you read, and you'll add it in. And then you'll be taking a quote from another book, and you'll add that in. And then in your next paragraph, you take another quote from a book, and you add that in. But for high school, we don't have you read 5 different books for the course. To make it easy, we take just a little chunk and we put it on a packet. It's like I copied 5 different books for you right here. And I gave you already the quote. What you're going to decide, though, is which quotes fit your arguments. Some of these old-time things are political cartoons. Some of them are little snippets of essays or speeches. You're going to have to choose at least 5 that you think will fit in with your arguments. So I'm going to pass these out, and I got to pause for a second so that.
See that, I think it's like Uncle Sam or like.
Yeah, they look like old-time people.
Like one of the old-time people, they're crushing the Philippines with a foot.
Crushing with a foot. Does this look like good? Yes, take over the Philippines? Maybe. Yeah, you could probably argue it either way, which is awesome. You could use these documents either way. Yes, look at how uncivilized that Filipino is, and there's McKinley crushing him with his foot. But that's Caesar and Napoleon looking on, and they are questioning whether or not he should be a despot or a dictator also. This is a political cartoon that you could use the evidence here and say, according to document A, which is a political cartoon from 1899, is he to be a despot? You can see that McKinley needs to control that Filipino. Or according to document A, as you can see in the drawing of McKinley, he's being questioned that being a despot isn't fair. So you could use this as evidence. Turn the page. Look at B. Document B is a chunk from Albert Beveridge's March of the Flag. All of that's included because when you use evidence, you have to cite it. So according to Albert Beveridge's March of the Flag in 1898, he says that we govern the Native Americans without their consent. That would be a really good reason for no, that we, or you could also use it for a yes. We didn't ever ask the natives if we could control them, and then we did. Or we didn't control the natives very well, so we shouldn't control the Filipinos. So you could use that either way. Look at document C. Document C is from McKinley's own journal from November 21st, 1899. And he talks about how God talked to him and told him, take over the Philippines. This would be solid evidence here if you were arguing the yes. Document C would be solid because there's that chunk in there about how God told him what to do, and then he went back to bed and he slept soundly. Document D, look at document D. Document D looks like a speech from Professor William Sumner, 1898. And he's calling out America. He's like, oh my gosh, you say you're all about liberty and equality? Controlling other people doesn't sound very American. I'm paraphrasing, but you could quote a chunk where if we believe in liberty as an American principle, why do we not stand by it? Turn the page. The Anti-Imperialist League, October 1899. This one's I can already tell this is going to go in the no category. E, because they're talking about don't be an imperialist taking over other countries, that it's an unjust war. You could use that quote. Turn the page. It didn't copy very well, so go all the way over and you'll see it's another political cartoon, old-timey stuff. That document F, what do you see there? I see the Filipinos, Hawaii, Cuba. They look like happy little children, don't they? They're so happy. What are they happy for? Freedom, America. They're happy for the 4th of July. See? They need us. This is such a good yes. That would be like, oh my gosh, we need to be their parent. Or is there a way that you could argue this against? Ellis?
that despite the fact that they looked happy, they were still forced into this?
Yeah, they were forced into it, and yeah, Sierra.
They also are children, basically meaning that they're less than us.
Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Sierra said that they're drawn like children to show that they're less than us. So it's a racist drawing, isn't it? Yes? They're not very clothed either. They don't have shoes on. Okay, let's look at G. G is a William Jennings Bryan from 1900. It talks about educating people and trading with the Philippines. And so this could be argued, yes, we need to take care of them, or there's a chunk in there about how they're fighting for their own independence. You could use that document for no, that line. Turn the page again. Document H is the Tuller Amendment. The Tuller Amendment said that we're going to control as a colony, but we are not going to make them a state. You could use that as yes, take them over. You could also use it as a no, like they're never going to be a state. We're always going to treat them as less. So there's got to be a chunk in that law that you could quote. The last one is from The Nation, 1902. And it says, war is hell. Sucks to be you, Philippines. War is hell could be a, yeah, all's fair in love and war. Or we could point out that we need to be moral and humanitarians, and the way that we are treating the Filipinos is not humanitarian. So those are your docs. That was an overview. So here is what you are going to do with a partner. So now I'm only going to need you to turn in one for both of you. You are going to brainstorm at least 5 documents, and yes, you can have a document for the concession also. What document will fit with your argument for and against? And I think you need at least 4 documents for 1 against. So I'll put that on the board. I need 4 for what you're arguing, 1 against. And I need to know what is the gritty detail in there that you would quote if you were actually writing the paper. Then turn the page. Turn the page. You and your partner need to create a thesis, outline the 3 good reasons you either should annex the Philippines or not. Make sure you mention the concession. And then essay outline, you really don't need to do because I have it on the board. Questions for me? No? Danielle?
Can I work by myself?
You can absolutely work by yourself. You might be able to crush it faster that way. Okay, but I wanted to give you the option to talk to your neighbor if you want. Questions for me? Okay, so I do need you to cite what is the little chunk of the little gritty detail in that document that you would use to prove. All right, and I'm going to push stop. Hopefully you got the instruction there.
So the concession